Hey folks, Jonathan here. Alright, I guess it's time that we come up with a plan. We're going to try to get the boiler out. So what we've got here, I'm going to use the wrecker of course, but I'm also going to take my skid steer and we're going to build a winch box before we go. And I've been wanting to do this a long time anyway. So we're going to build basically a quick connect piece. This old skid steer has just a drop pin quick release. So we're going to build one where we can actually put this on, hook it to the remotes and operate this winch, but we're also going to have enough there to maybe put a piece down in the ground. We're going to take and put set up on it to hang some snatch blocks and some chains off of, and we're going to have a guard in front of it so if a cable was to break it wouldn't smash me in the face. So expanded metal probably. So anyway, and then we're going to figure out a way of coming down the sides of this thing with I've got two brand new cables that are chokers. We'll come down the sides and we're going to do maybe a spreader bar across to keep it from crushing in, or maybe just keep it low enough it wouldn't hurt it down this way. But anyway, what we want to do is we want to be able to go around this machine basically and hook the winch directly to our winch box to a tree back here, and that way we're not trying to pull the machine apart, of course, because you know you got hydraulics here, you don't want to pull it like that, but we won't have to dig in so hard. And you know, the machine's only 5,500 pounds, or right around 5,000 pounds. So what it's going to do is, you know, unlike my wreckers, I won't chain off the trees. But with this being going to be a winch box, we can chain it off to a tree and do some really crazy pulling with it, and unlike you would normally do. And this is a bigger cable, and we've got some actually got 1.5 rolls of new cable, big stuff. So we're going to go down in and run one cable from my, well, not necessarily from the wrecker. We're going to run one cable. It's going to come from the wrecker to a tree up on the opposite side of the boiler, up higher. My son's a lineman. He climbs poles, so he can, you know, we can get it up a tree, and a good strong one. And then we're going to take I've got a 5-ton chain hoist, and we're going to hoist the front of the boiler as good as we can. I know there's going to be a lot of droop in the cable, but we're going to hoist it with that cable as good as we can to try to get weight off of the front of the boiler. We're going to use the snatch block on the cable above, and then we're going to pull. Now I haven't decided whether we're going to pull on the boiler or if we're going to pull from the top of the snatch block, and I'm thinking that maybe pulling from the snatch block would actually be better, because as you pulled and the snatch block came forward, it's going to pick up on the front of the boiler. And when you see them do the yarders and on logging, that's how they do it. So we will probably pull from the top and just have it hooked to the boiler really well. And that way what we're trying to do, or what we're wanting the front of the boiler to come up in the air. We're not worried about the back. It can drag right along, but you know, as long as we can keep the weight off the front, and this should be good enough to winch it. So with that said, this winch has been sitting for a long time. We're going to clean it out, clean the motor out here, and spray through it and blow through it and try to make sure there ain't nothing in it. We're going to get these hoses hooked up for the quick connects, and we'll go ahead and hook them up to this skid steer and see if this winch, make sure it even works. I mean, I've never seen it work. I'm assuming it does. The winch does not have a freewheel. I've got enough hydraulics on this skid steer. It's probably a little extreme for how much hydraulics it's got, because it runs the bucket way too fast. I mean, you can't even pull an engine out of it. It's sort of dangerous, but I don't think I'm going to have an issue with running a hydraulic motor. It should run it really strong. It should run it fast enough that we can just pull out on the winch, just have one person doing it. I mean, it's just going to take a little bit more time, but I don't have time to fabricate a freewheel. The guy I got this from actually had one of these on a big truck, and I fabricated everything up and made the freewheel work for him. But I've never done this one. So, all right, let's get in and see if we can at least get this hooked up to these lines and see if we got a working winch. All right. works. It sped up a little bit when we revved it, so I think it'll be just fine. We are just getting started on this winch box, but I think I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice these forks. This whole fork frame I've had for years, and used to keep it, or used to have it on this forklift, but on this skid steer. But I got my forklift, and I've never used it since then. And I don't care for the way it's set up. I never did. These are the pieces that I added on this fork frame before, because it had a plate right here, and the plate was bending and giving trouble, so that's what I put on it. And I think that'll still work. And we will, like I said, we're going to put our expanded metal on and a frame, so if it does break it, you know, it's going to stop it before it hits me. We'll go to welding and grinding and cutting tomorrow, and we're not going to try to do a perfect job that looks like a brand new unit. We're going to do this thing pretty quick, but we're going to, you know, do it right. Okay, so we're working on our uprights for our winch box, just getting started on it. Anyway, I was going to use a 4-inch tubing, but I remember I had these left over, and they're stupid heavy, so I won't have to ever worry about bending them. And something we're not going for is lightweight. It's not going to hurt to be heavy, so we're okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get these cut how I want them and start getting them in place. We're going to cut the forks off and start grinding and welding. All right. Okay, folks, moving right along. We haven't welded anything. We're just getting everything cut in place. Too late for the forks. If anybody is going to get mad about me cutting them, they're gone. So back here where I cut them, that's 1.5 inches thick. We're dealing with 3/4 inch stuff here on on this. So everything we've got here is heavy, and that's 2 inches thick. So we're not playing around with this thing. We want something heavy that ain't gonna break or give any issues. So probably put a piece right inside of here and weld it in. No, cat scanners, you gotta be careful around this hot stuff. So we're gonna cut a little bit more here, and we should be getting ready to start doing some grinding and tacking together here really soon. Okay, folks, following day. Didn't get it all done yesterday. Should have had time, but had a lot of things come up, so I keep stopping. Got most of this welded in, and we're going to put a piece in here and weld it in, and should take care of that. I got to get the other foot done, and then we're going to come back here with a 3/4 plate coming down like a blade, and we'll put a reinforcement on it and a few other little things. We got to put some mounts on it for the cable, or the cable hook back too, and we want to do that in the center so we don't pull the machine sideways. So we've got to come up with something. I'll probably use this bar and run across, but we got to come up with something here in the center. But anyway, all right. So of course everything's just junk parts, and we're going to build a piece up and over and back down. And I've actually got some expanded metal we use for that, and then I've got some new steel that a buddy of mine was moving, and I bought a bunch of it from him at a really good price. So we use that, and this expanded metal is heavy enough to stop what we need to stop. It'll dent it, I'm sure, but it won't go through it and kill me. Isn't that right, Nana? So we'll get this inspected out and see if it'll work. All right. You know, I always wondered why this thing was so heavy. I didn't realize it was as heavy as it really is, actually. But years ago, when I used to use it on this skid steer ain't made to pick up a lot of weight. I mean, it's not a forklift, but it didn't seem to do real good. And I think I know why now. Of course, this is 3/4 thick. This entire piece, up, back, and down, is over 1/2 inch thick. Let's see if I can get it where you can see it. But no, probably not. Anyway, so then you go to the bottom, and it's the same way. There's another piece that goes up, over, and back down, and it's over 1/2 inch thick. So that's what it is this thing's just built so heavy, that frame, that it wasn't made for, of course, this machine. Okay folks, haven't done a lot of filming, still working on it. This is day number 2. Day number 1, I didn't get a lot of time, but I have worked on it since early this morning. It's 4 something. So unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to keep at it now, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think I'm going to get her done tonight. And that's going to leave me with a few little things to do. I got to do the guard, and then I've got to do the something to hang the snatch blocks on. I went and got 3 of my snatch blocks. They're all 15 ton. They're actually Johnson, but they got Ernest Holmes tags on them, so they're pretty kind of a rare bird there. But we're going to hang them on here, and I think most everything's done. You can see my plate I put as a blade in the back, and I put a support to it, but I mean that support's not going to matter. It'll go down in the ground too. I've got to get under and weld it, and do a lot of underneath welding, overhead welding, or I can take it off and flip it over. It don't matter. I can do either one. So I've done a lot of overhead welding, so I mean it's not like it's that big of a deal. But anyway, she's moving right along, just about done, and then I'm hoping that we're going to do a little bit of testing here and make sure the winch is good and everything. And I mean it seems to work good. I had an issue with the motor was stuck on it because there was a bearing that was stuck, and I took it apart and took care of that. So I'm hoping everything's going to be okay on it. So anyway, let me keep at it. I'll show you. Hopefully all the welds will hold and we'll all be good. I've still got more welding to do now. It's not finished. But that's what we've got so far. And we got a 17 ton clevis and a 21 ton clevis. So we don't have to worry about them. You know, everything's overbuilt, and which is the way it should be. If you overbuild it, 2 things: it works good and it lasts forever. That's what you want. Now this thing is a little bent. I didn't mount it on there, it was already on there, but it's a little bent back up on this side. I don't know, maybe we'll pull it with a cable or something, but we probably just leave it. was just a test to make sure the winch was working, just to check things out. I want to make sure this wasn't too heavy for my machine, you know, to be moving around, and how it was going to do in the woods. I think it's going to do just fine. Not seeing much of any issues. Winch is slow, which is a good thing. I didn't hook high. I mean, I didn't hook low on that Peterbilt. I hooked high on it because I was wanting to just test. I wasn't trying to move the Peterbilt. I didn't put it in gear at all, or I wasn't pulling while I was winching. I was just sinking it down in, trying to get an idea of what angle was best. And I don't know that one angle is any better than the other. I mean, a lot of them are made this way, but you know, the way that we plan to do it is we're gonna finish bolting these on or weld them on, and we're gonna run straps around or run chains around, or cables. We're gonna run cables around the back to chain off to a tree. I wish I knew more about the load on this. I'm just gonna gear up for pulling something stupid heavy. That's the plan. Because my rollback, I know a lot of people watch me winch, and it may be dangerous when there's somebody close to it or something like that, you know. But when we're winching this stuff, it's, you know, 2,000, 2,500 pounds or anything like that across that concrete. If I can tell when the cable tightens up. I mean, I know that truck and that winch so well that I feel certain that I could operate it and never break a cable, no matter what I'm doing. I mean, you got to know when to stop, and that's like pulling the pipe up out. I knew that something wasn't right, so we stopped, and then we realized that the pipe ran all the way down to the cistern. So the point is you got to have an idea of what machine you're working with, the equipment. That's the problem with this. I don't know this winch. From what I'm seeing so far, it didn't slow down at all. And I was basically just a little bit, well, as low idle as this thing will go. I could have revved up a lot more. This thing's got plenty of hydraulics to run this winch, so I don't think we have any issues with power. Now we just got to worry about holding the machine and not breaking a cable. And what we're going to do there, I'm not used to them. That ain't good, because I'm not used to the chain being on the end of the cable. I'm not liking that, so I think we're going to probably do away with that. Yeah, I'm just don't like it. But anyway, everything else seems to be okay. We're gonna, like I said, get this guard built, and then we're gonna do a little more testing with it so I can get a whole lot better idea of what I'm dealing with. And we're gonna drag something that weighs a decent amount of weight, probably with this thing chained down to a tree, before we, you know, actually just take it out there and go to hammering on it. Because I mean, I want to know it'll do it first, but I also want to know that it's going to hold up, and know that we're going to be able to do what we go to you know, plan on doing. So all right, so let me do a little more. I'm going to try to get some more done anyway, and then we'll go from there. All right folks, I don't know if you can tell on camera or not, but it's getting dark now, so I'm through for the day. I went ahead and made the piece to hang the snatch blocks on, and then I actually started working on the cage. I've just got everything tacked together. Now, this expanded metal somebody had given me, and it was cut part of the way down through here. So I think what I'm going to do, because I've got enough left over, is I'm going to double up some pieces in here and weld them in and make it double thick, which is not going to hurt anything. And then I'm going to run probably one more, or maybe two more. I've got plenty of it, so I think I'll run two more 1.5 inch square tubings across as braces, and hopefully this thing won't hinder me too much when it comes to the limbs and the weeds. I know it's going to some, and maybe a lot, but I can't go down there and get myself killed. Kind of defeats the purpose of the whole deal. So, you know, that's just a bad spot to be in when you're winching. Winch there, me there, you know. And that's why I think I'm gonna, if I put 2 more pieces across and then add some more, I'm going to like to double up on the expanded metal. I don't think it's going to be an issue. You know, I've broken cables, and you know, new cables are not really cables, they're wire rope. They have a rope in the center of them. Now I don't know if this cable's that way or not, but I can say I have almost been killed about 3 times within the wrecker business. And one time I got hit on the head with this half of a snatch block, and I was ducked down, and it about like a ball peen hammer hitting me. And luckily it did take my hat off, and my hat went about 20 feet, and we've yet to find the rest of the snatch block, and I don't know what happened yet. I think I didn't, it was dark, and I think I thought I had it screwed in there, and I didn't. That's the only thing I can figure, because I've still got this piece of it, and it's still on my truck. So one of these days I'm going to get the rest of it. And let me see, one time was between a track hoe and a dozer. A guy just about smashed my head. It just pinched the top of my head as my head was coming out. And another time I had what we call a tank recovery chain. You know, the big chains, they've got a loop on one end and a big hook on the other, or I think maybe a loop and a hook on one end and a loop on the other. But anyway, they're huge, heavy, and I had one chained to a track hoe. I was recovering out of a swamp, and I had it break on me, and the link went by my head and sounded like, you know, a gunshot, where, you know, you hear it whistling through the air. And luckily, you know, it didn't hit me. So, and I've had some other instances that wasn't nearly as dangerous, but, you know, breaking a cable is the least of my fears. You know, a lot of people are worried about cables breaking. Cables breaking, you know, nowadays with the rope in the center, you don't get that, you don't get what you used to get. It's not like the old cables back in the old days. My fear is more of a, you know, snatch block or a piece of a chain breaking and coming at me. Cables, you know, it's not, I don't think they're as bad as what people think. They may have used to be, but they're not now. And you know, the old guys with logging and stuff, they used to take what was called a steam donkey, which was nothing but a steam engine with a winch on it and a boiler, and they would chain it to a tree, and that's what they used to snake the logs out. And you know, we're not talking about little logs, we're talking about huge stuff, because you know, back then they, you know, didn't care what they cut, redwoods, whatever, but that's what they used was winches, sort of like this setup. This is a modern day steam donkey, and we just have to be really, really careful. And you know, that's why I'm taking all the precautions I can take. I am going under here too, and on the front side of this, with just in case something was to shoot through, and I just hadn't done it yet. So that's the plan. We've got plenty of material left to work with, and I don't know who gave this to me, but if they're watching, thank you. But it's been a while. It's been a long time ago. But you know, like I said, somebody had cut it in 2 spots, and I'm not sure why, but it worked out just fine for me. We'll get it, and it'll be well usable. So that's where we're at with this. Maybe, you know, I don't know, I'm going to say half a day, but probably not even half a day's worth of work left to do. I've got some more welding to do, but I've also got a little fabricating here and there, and nothing major. And I do need to get some hooks put on it where I can hang chains and, you know, stuff like that. But anyway, we're gonna see how this thing works, and hopefully it will do everything that I'm hoping it'll do. And I've got a feeling it's going to, but you know, we're gonna, like I said, we'll do some testing in the next video. All right, appreciate everybody watching, and until next time, bye.